So today I've got a very important video, and it's based around this idea of soul contracts. Most people in the spiritual space, or a lot of people in the spiritual space, are of this belief that prior to incarnating, we write up these contracts in some sort of way, and we have to then go through these experiences which we've chosen and selected in order to allow us to learn the things that we need to learn. So they're important learning tools, and we choose these experiences that as human beings we may look at as being very negative or very damaging or hard to go through. But in fact, they're things that we've chosen because there are lessons within them that we need to learn. That's the gist of what soul contracts is all about. And I want to share my perspective because I think that this idea is a spiritual norm. And what I mean by that is that, like in society, there are societal norms that everyone just nods their head and goes along with because the masses are talking about it. The majority share this view, so we're naturally more inclined to also share that view. I think there are lots of things within the spiritual space that are similar to this, in as much as you watch a load of videos of different people talking about soul contracts, or you read a few books, you read more than one book with two different teachers talking about soul contracts, and you're like, that's a thing, that's absolute. And so you have this belief then, there must be soul contracts. These experiences that I'm having are based upon what I've chosen. I've chosen to have these, so I better put up with them and learn what I can from them. Now, what I really don't want this video to be about is a kind of attack or a kind of like looking down on this perspective, because that's not what it's about. I respect everyone's opinion, even if I don't share their opinion, I respect it. And if after the end of this video you still have this belief that soul contracts are a thing, that's fine. But I wanted to share my perspective, my opinion on this, because I'm so absolutely confident that the belief I have is strong, and I believe it to be so true. I guess that's it, is that I believe it to be the truth so deeply that I'm willing to make a video about it, really just to shine a light on this particular perspective and allow you to possibly look at all of this from a different angle. So a lot of people at least, think that soul contracts are a thing, and the experiences that we have are there and we've chosen them. My belief is that there are two fundamental laws. And before I get into the laws, actually, I want to share why I have this belief and where it comes from very quickly, just so you've got an idea. Because you're probably thinking, well, how the hell, why is your opinion valid? Why should I listen to you? And how are you so confident that your belief is right? And the reason that I'm so confident is that I choose to learn only from God-realized souls and avatars. And the reason that I do that is because I understand how flawed all of us human beings are, and that we get things wrong, we don't know the full picture, naturally we don't know the truth to everything. A lot of what we learn, a lot of what we understand, yes, some of it might be experience based, but a lot of it's just what we've learned, and depending on who we've learnt from, we're going to have a different opinion and perspective. And I understand that, whereas God-realized souls and avatars I believe to be either one with God or incarnations of God. And if you look at all of the teachings of either God-realized souls or avatars, so I would recommend the Shivapuri Baba, who was a God-realized soul, Mother Meera, who's an avatar, The Final Great Path, because it was written by a friend of mine about my teacher, and Sri Sathya Sai Baba. If you read their teachings, they all concur. And although there might be differences here and there in the way that they explain things or some of the tiny little details, their core message is exactly the same, and they all echo the same truth, that there is a fundamental law in existence which is called karma. They all say that. And I'm more inclined to believe these people than I am some person who believes that they've had an out-of-body experience, or a human being who has come to this belief themselves by books that they've read, or any other way, to be honest. I'm just much more inclined to believe avatars and God-realized souls, because I believe their knowledge is the highest. And doesn't mean that these other teachers don't have any value. I'm sure I've learned lots from lots of other people, but with this particular thing and with big topics, I think it's important to go to the truth. And that's all I'm really about, is finding the truth and sharing the truth as far as I believe it to be. So there is this fundamental law of karma. I believe it to the core of my being, and it's echoed, as I say, by all of these different advanced beings or God realized souls. And they all say the same thing: what you put out into the world, you receive again. Whether you call it good, whether you call it bad, whether you call it positive or negative, as you put out into the world, that you receive again. Whether it's in this lifetime, whether it was 10 lifetimes ago, you will receive it at some point. You're putting money in the bank, and at some point you have to cash out. Now, you don't get a choice when you cash out. Life decides when you cash out. The divine decides when you cash out. And that's the crucial difference. We don't decide. We don't pick experiences that we think are favourable. We go through what we go through because we have put that out into the world at some point. And where everyone naturally and understandably finds this very hard to believe or understand is that people say, well, you know, I know so-and-so who had some tragic event happen, and there's no way that they could have done that to someone else. Or perhaps you've had some horrible experience and you think, there's no way that I did that to someone else. And what we forget, all of us forget, is that we take who we are at the minute, the body, the name, the behaviours and characteristics that we have got as being us. We forget that 10 lifetimes ago, 20 lifetimes ago, 100 lifetimes ago, we were a completely different person. Probably a completely different potentially a different gender, definitely in a completely different time in history, with completely different morals, with completely, you know, everything was different. Think how much you've changed in this lifetime. Imagine how much you will have changed over 2 lifetimes. Imagine how much you could have changed over 100 lifetimes. So there is every possibility, and I would say almost a certainty, that at some point or another, all of us have done things which if we were to know about, we would be very sad about, which have probably hurt other people. We all will have done that. It's almost guaranteed. If we look back over history, how human beings have behaved, and we think that there's a good chance that we were alive then, with a completely different mind, a completely different set of, you know, characteristics and beliefs and blah, 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 then there's every chance we could have done something harmful, hurtful to someone else. So this is, I think, important to understand, because then it's easier for us to accept that, okay, if I'm experiencing something that I'm deeming to be unpleasant now, or if someone's hurt me in some way, or I've had some out of the blue horrible experience, then this is karma. And it's hard to accept. Karma, for so many people, is hard to accept because we naturally are looking through this lens of just this lifetime, and we can't see the full picture. I guarantee if we were able to see the full picture, then it would make total sense. But there's another law which is also in play. So before I move on to the second law, karma, for most people have a broad understanding of karma, or an okay understanding of karma. And karma basically is what we do, what we put out to other people, what we do to other people, physically, verbally, we will receive again. It's quite simple, it's quite straightforward. We make it very complicated, I think, or it can seem very complicated, but quite simply, if you look at it just from that very simple perspective, what we put out in the world, we receive again. And what we do intentionally, more specifically, we receive again. But alongside this, there is another universal law, which is called the law of attraction. This can sound a bit new agey, a bit weird. Quite simply, all the law of attraction is as you think, so you become. The Buddha said it, as you think, so you become. That's the law of attraction in a nutshell. What you want, you will get. If you work at it enough, if you aspire for it enough, generally whatever it is, whether it takes a week, whether it takes 20 years, you will get it. You can get it. It's within everyone's grasp. And that's the law of attraction. It means that we can actually override some of our karma. We can create a life that we want So we're not locked down to karma. You know, everything that we experience isn't purely based on what we've done before. A large part of it is, but actually we can pave a new path, which is the way that we do that is through the law of attraction. But likewise, I'm talking about it from a positive point of view here. We can pave a beautiful path by aspiring for what we would perceive to be positive things or skillful things, you know, a better career or a better physique or a better this or a better that. Or we can use the law of attraction, often unintentionally by the way that we think, and bring to us lots of negative things. You know, there's lots of people that we probably would understand have got themselves into a very negative place purely based upon the thoughts that they're engaging. That's the law of attraction. They're unintentionally using the law of attraction to create this crappy state of mind, to create this miserable state of mind. So they're the two laws that are in motion. And these two laws, in my belief, in my opinion, move the needle in our life. These are the things that take us to where we are at the minute. Everything that we've got in front of us at the minute, everything that we've created, every experience we've had, every experience we're going to have is going to come about generally based upon these two laws. What we do to others, what we say to others, what we do to other beings, what we say to other beings maybe, or what we think and what we aspire for. Those two things will bring about the life experiences that we have. It's not related to some contract that we may have signed prior to incarnating. It's a beautiful idea. I think it's a very positive idea actually. I understand why people believe it, but it doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't personally believe it. And as I say, all of the avatars echo this same sentiment about karma. My teacher also said that soul contracts, very nice idea, but it's not true. It's not what happens. And I wanted to share it with you, as I said at the start, not to be disruptive, not to be different, not to, oh, I'm going to make this video because I think it's going to get loads of views because no one else is sharing this type of thing. I'm interested in just putting out the truth and, I suppose, putting on the table a different perspective. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to go along with this idea. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But I wanted to give you something else to think about and share what I believe to be the truth. So I've probably not covered everything, but as far as I can think about now, I've covered the bulk of what I wanted to share. If you have any questions or comments, do let me know down in the comments section. If you are interested in being part of an online school, learning more about meditation, getting closer to truth, getting closer to the divine, I do have an online school which you'd be very welcome to join. I'll leave a link in the description. Failing that, I put out videos every single week, and if you resonated with what I've spoken about today, by all means check out the other videos. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.